Call me crazy, but I do not believe that man and woman can be just platonic friends. I have heard too many crazy stories to believe that it is possible. And I know that I am not the only one. Like, imagine your best friend betraying you.
Can you focus on me? Baby, can you
Hey guys, welcome back. So this is day 26 of my challenge to post a video on YouTube every single day for the month of May. And if you're new here, hello, welcome. My name is Rabia, and I decided to do this challenge because I wanted to expand my comfort zone as an introvert, and I wanted to get more comfortable in front of the camera. And this challenge has been amazing at achieving that. So on this channel, you will find me talking about personal growth a lot. And also about love, dating, and relationships. Because I find that fascinating. People coming together, making a commitment to one another is such a beautiful thing. But it also comes with its struggles. And sometimes we complicate our lives even more than it needs to be. And sometimes we have to realize that we have a lot more power than we would like to admit. But admitting that means that we have to take responsibility and accountability for our own lives, our choices, and our decisions. And oftentimes, people aren't ready to do that. So it's much easier to look the other way. But just because you're looking the other way doesn't mean that the problems are resolved. Because believe me when I say that it will come back at some point. When it comes to relationships, I find it very important that we uncomplicate things. Because being together is hard work. Anyone who tells you that a relationship isn't work is not telling you the truth. Imagine being by yourself, trying to figure out who it is that you are, what it is that you want out of life, and even everything that you're struggling with. And then ask yourself, is that anything but easy? Oftentimes it is not. So when you add another person to that, you have to deal with their baggage, the good and the bad as well. And even though it is hard, it is not impossible, because a lot of people are doing it. It just means that there are people who are willing to make the commitment and who are willing to make it work. But not everyone that is in a relationship is in a happy, healthy relationship. When it comes to uncomplicating things, one thing that I touched on in other videos is that I don't believe that men and women can be just platonic friends. 9 out of 10 times. I'm not going to say 100 because nothing is waterproof. Nothing is 100%. But 9 times out of 10, I believe that it doesn't work. And I am just being honest with myself that I have made a decision that my future husband, because I'm single right now, but not for too long, I hope, inshallah, my future husband will not have any women that are friends. Because I just find it hard to believe that it will work. Oftentimes, people become friends because either they dated before and they figured out that they weren't a match for one another, but they have some interests and they went further as friends. But I have an issue with that because that means that there was an initial attraction at first. And even though that feeling faded away, doesn't mean that it cannot be sparked up again. So if you are asking me if I am willing to take the risk of finding out that it might not work, my answer is wholeheartedly, 100%, definitely not. I am not going to put myself in a position voluntarily with my thoughts, feelings, and emotions with the consequence of getting my heart broken. To me, that is just not worth the risk. I think the most important thing that people should do is be honest with themselves and ask what it is that they want out of life. What is it that you truly want? Because sometimes we cannot have everything that we desire. But if you want a relationship because you want to build a family, but you also find it difficult accepting that your partner has female friends, then you have to be honest with yourself. And know that if you set aside your potential relationship for a friend, then that is a very dangerous thing. Because even though that you might expect your friend to do the same for you, that is not always the case. People can be extremely selfish and they will put their own needs before anyone else. So never think that that ride or die friend of yours is going to do exactly the same as you. And that is why it is important to be honest about what it is that you want and to go for it 1000%, regardless of the consequences. Because everyone is going to do what is best for them. So why shouldn't you? I have heard countless of stories in my life, whether it is me as a social worker or me in my private life or from my environment, to where it just didn't work. And now you have social media where people are putting everything on blast. It is crazy the kind of things that you're hearing. So I am not willing to put myself in a position to find out. And even the people that you don't expect to betray you can betray you. And that is a painful subject to touch on, because that means that you're getting betrayed on both ends, one from your friend and one from your partner. And it can make you lose hope in love. But I want you to never let that happen. Because even though I have been hurt in the past, something that nobody can take away from me is that I am a hopeless romantic. No matter what it is that I've been through, I will always believe in love. Because I make sure that I heal from my past, so that I don't take old wounds into a new relationship. Because love is such a beautiful thing. But putting yourself out there comes with a risk. With the risk of getting hurt. And that is a risk that we all take. But just because we chose the wrong partner doesn't mean that love doesn't exist. It just means that we have to make better choices. So we have to take responsibility and accountability and take those lessons into a new day. Because your Prince Charming is out there for you. But you have to be honest about what it is that you want. And you have to be upfront with your partner about it. Because my future husband is not going to have any female friends. Hi, Bailey. And I am already putting that out in the universe. Because when it comes to men, they are much stricter on not believing that women and men can be friends. They have a much harder time accepting that their girlfriend or wife has men as friends because they believe that there is either an underlying motive or some kind of feelings there, and that someone is just waiting for an opening. But the same goes for women as friends. Come on, Bailey. Because women can just be as trifling as men, not giving a damn about men being in a relationship, because they are only thinking about themselves and saying to themselves that that is not their responsibility because it is not their relationship. And even though it is not their relationship, it says something about your character and your values and morals if you insert yourself into a union of someone else. And I know that someday, one day, karma is coming for you. And oftentimes, when it does, those people are truly in their feelings. And at that moment, your feelings are valid. But you had it coming because you did the exact same thing to someone else. And oftentimes people also believe that someone will leave a union for them. Never get tricked into that one. Because even if they do, are you truly going to wholeheartedly trust them? Because what makes you different? If they did something to someone else, they can do it to you. People often complicate their love lives way more than it needs to be. And it all starts with choosing the right partner based on shared morals and values, interests, and understanding. Truly take the time to get to know each other. I have heard crazy stories about your partner betraying you with a family member. For example, a sister. That is heartbreaking. Because you would think that the loyalty of a family member would make them not cross a certain boundary. But even then, it can happen. So do not trust anyone blindly. The most important thing is that you just do whatever you can to protect your union. I have a rule that the people I know, if they, in their adult lives, disrespected relationships by involving themselves into a union that wasn't theirs, that they are not going to be around my future husband whatsoever. Because it says something about your character. And I have been single for so long. So the moment that God blesses me with a husband, I am going to protect that at any cost. And it doesn't mean that we cannot be friends, but it just means that there are limitations. And I am going to do what it is that I can in my power to keep positive energy around that union of mine. And I'm just being honest about that. Because from honesty, you can just build. And if people don't understand that, then that says a lot more about them than it says about me. Because I wasn't the one making those choices. It was you. But I am telling you that these are the consequences when it comes to my personal life. When I was in a relationship, I had a very, very good friend of mine who started to act different. And in that moment, I didn't truly see what it was about. But I started to notice that she became distant, that she became negative, and that at the end of the day, it was a kind of jealous person. Because at one point, she even said to me that the relationship I was in was never going to work. And that was in the beginning stages of me with my ex. And I just brushed it off. But I later realized that it said way more about her than it said about me. Because when I started to take better care of myself, by investing in myself, by going to the gym a lot and losing weight, I started to feel comfortable in my body. And I started to embrace it, and that energy was shining from the inside out. And I started to get more attention from people, from guys. And usually she was the one who got all the attention. And I never had a problem with it because I wasn't into the dating scene at all. But the moment that I started to get attention, she didn't like it. And that's when our relationship started to change. And eventually we just went our own different ways. I am all about uncomplicating my life. I don't want any negativity in my life or in my relationship. So I am going to be honest about what it is that I cannot accept. And I know that there are billions of people on this planet. So I know that there are many suitable partners out there for me who think the exact same way as me when it comes to not believing that men and women can be just platonic friends. Because oftentimes it is just about dancing with the devil. Just because you can resist the devil doesn't mean that you should hang out with them. And a lot of people cannot resist temptation. So why put yourself voluntarily in a situation where you know that things might mess up this beautiful union that you have? So I am not going to participate in that. So when I meet someone, I tell them upfront how I think about that. And from there, we'll just see where it goes. But I don't need to worry about that right now because I am single. But when the time comes, everything will work out just fine. What you need to do is be honest with yourself. That's it. In whatever it is that you expect from your partner, whether it is this subject that I'm talking about or something else, it all comes down to being honest with yourself and communicating that to someone so that you can see if you guys align. Because if you don't vocalize your opinion, then they will never know. Don't make a relationship harder than it needs to be. Please uncomplicate your life. You have way more power than you realize. I want to thank you for being with me here today. And I am extremely curious about what your thoughts are about this subject. And I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye.
We get this money, so I guess I can't complain.